On 9th April 1867 at the Perth Circuit Court, a ploughman stood before the judges charged with murder. A year earlier, on 30th March 1866, the body of 51-year-old Janet Rogers was discovered at the Mount Stewart farm at Strathern in Perthshire, and it was a murder that sent shockwaves through the district. Janet had been married for 30 years to James Rogers, a labourer, and lived at Airntully near Stanley in Perthshire. The couple had 5 daughters, with the youngest 2 still living at home. She'd gone to Mount Stewart to keep the house of her younger brother, William Henderson, as his domestic servant, Christina Miller, had recently left, and he had yet to find another housekeeper. Janet was happy to help out, as her husband was working away from home. On that fateful day, 50-year-old Henderson went with his horse and cart to Perth, and was absent from the farm from 10 in the morning until 8 that night. His sister was therefore the only person in the house all that day. When he got home, he found James Crichton, the ploughman, waiting at the stable to help him unload the cart and stable the horse. Henderson then went to the house, but couldn't get in as it was locked up. This was unusual. He went to Crichton's house a few hundred yards away and asked him if he'd seen his sister during the day. He replied he'd not seen her since that morning. Henderson returned to the farmhouse, calling out her name at the door and the windows, but there was no response. Eventually he got a ladder, placed it against the building, and got in through an upstairs window. He searched all the rooms, but there was no sign of her. He raced downstairs, and to his horror found Janet lying on the kitchen floor, covered with a pile of bedclothes. She was cold. He ran to get help from his neighbour James Barlas, who was with Henderson when, in candlelight, he removed the blanket from Janet's body. Her hair was sticking to it due to blood loss that she'd suffered. That same night, the local doctor, James Lang, and the police were sent for. Henderson's telegram, dispatched on the 9:20 p.m. train from Bridge of Erne to Perth, stated, "Please come out here as soon as possible, as my sister has been murdered today while I was in Perth." With the Procurator Fiscal John McLean away on business, the telegram was delivered to the Assistant Procurator Fiscal John Young, and within hours, he, along with Chief Constable George Gordon, Superintendent Henry MacDonald, Sergeant Charles Ross, and some constables, arrived at the house. Dr. Lang could find no pulse and confirmed her death. The medical evidence showed Janet's death had resulted from a wound inflicted by an axe, with the blow appearing to be instantly fatal. Blood spatter in the kitchen reached up to 6 feet high, but there were no traces of blood anywhere else in the property. It remains unknown who the axe belonged to, but some money and some clothing were missing. A murder hunt got underway immediately. Janet was laid to rest a week later, on 5th April 1866. Oddly, no cause of death was listed on her death certificate, even though Dr. Lang in his report had stated she had suffered injuries inflicted on the head by someone unknown. It was also his opinion the murder had taken place in the afternoon. The evidence put forward at the trial that 46-year-old Crichton was the perpetrator was purely circumstantial. It was ascertained that he was probably alone on the farm, so far as could be discovered, and that fragments of a pipe like his were found in the kitchen, yet he claimed he never smoked a pipe. He was said to have changed his clothes that day, and his wife had bleached them and hung them out to dry the day after that. The only motive that was put forward was that it could only have been theft, but the evidence to trace any money to Crichton was extremely vague. It wasn't until December, some 9 months after the deed had been carried out, that Crichton was arrested on suspicion of murder. Originally, suspicion had fallen on Henderson. Crichton had accused him of murdering his sister on his return from Perth that night. Henderson spent some time in jail but was released, and a reward was offered to find the murderer. Eventually, Crichton was apprehended, thanks to Henderson saying to police he believed he was behind his sister's death. The evidence of Christina Miller, Henderson's former servant, was pivotal. She told the court she'd left Henderson's employ due to his advances, something that was rumoured in the district, and she knew Crichton had left a few days after the murder to take up a new job in Dunfermline. Her most damning evidence was yet to come. She had been staying with the Crichtons and was in bed one night when she claimed she overheard James tell his wife that if the murderer was found out, he would be hanged. His wife had allegedly replied that she and the family would be disgraced and wouldn't be able to live in the area. Miller, who'd been kept in prison to secure her evidence, also stated she'd seen Crichton's wife with a couple of pound notes in her hands when she'd left, borrowing a few shillings as she did so. One issue raised by her testimony was why it had taken her so long to come forward with the information. She had only done so after Crichton's arrest, and with a £100 reward at stake, it was clearly an incentive. The jury found her story difficult to believe and discarded it quickly. A number of people came forward, but on examination of their testimonies, it soon became clear the reward money was behind their claims. One of these came from Betsy Riley. During her interview with Sheriff Barclay, Fiscal McLean and Superintendent MacDonald, she claimed to have seen Janet talking to a man at the door of the farmhouse. When pressed, and knowing she was the centre of attention, she gave a description of him. They had a suspect. Just as the meeting was breaking up, Riley asked about the reward money, if this was indeed the killer. Barclay replied it was too early to say, and she left muttering that his gratitude wouldn't pay her rent. The police published posters with his description. Riley was asked on several occasions to identify men who fitted the description, but none turned out to be the killer, although she did identify John Henderson, a travelling milliner who was in Aberdeen. However, when police investigated his alibi, it was confirmed he was out on a drinking binge in Edinburgh on the day in question, as numerous witnesses had seen him. When Sergeant Charles Ross informed Superintendent MacDonald of this, he realised his instinct that Riley had been lying to the police all along was right. On Thursday, 18th April 1867, the case in the crowded courtroom concluded in front of the Lord Justice Clerk of Scotland, Sir George Patton, Lord Glenalmond, and Sir George Dease, Lord Dease. James Adam, the Advocate Depute, addressed the jury on behalf of the Crown, while Charles Scott stood in defence of the prisoner. Lord Dease summed up the case, pointing out many strong facts against the prisoner, and throwing his weight behind Miller's testimony. The jury returned the verdict after just 11 minutes of deliberation. In Scotland at the time, the judicial system had not 2 verdicts, but 3. These were guilty, not guilty, and not proven. The case was found not proven by a majority verdict, and Crichton was free to go. Henderson and Janet's bereft family sobbed. By this time, William Henderson felt he could no longer stay at Mount Stewart, and handed in his notice to quit his tenancy, and gave up farming altogether by January 1867. He accused 2 witnesses of lying. One of these was James Ritchie, who said Crichton would not have had time to commit the murder, or he wouldn't have completed his day's ploughing. Ritchie was successful in bringing a lawsuit against Henderson, claiming £12 in damages, but the court only awarded him 30 shillings, as by this time it was clear Henderson was not in a good frame of mind. In 1881, he was committed to the Murray Royal Asylum at Scone near Perth for 3 months. By this time, the murder had become his obsession. He became pretty much a recluse and was broody for much of the time. 18 months after his release, he was found wandering the streets, still talking about the murder. In 1884, he smashed windows in a fit of mania and was committed once more to the asylum, where he remained until his death on 22nd January 1890, aged 77. He has been viewed by many as the second victim in this case. The Mount Stewart murder has never been solved and remains Scotland's oldest unsolved case. The motive for the killing also remains unknown. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.